Okay, welcome back to another lesson in the Regex in Excel course. And today is a tricky one because it's going to be about recursion. This is probably the hardest thing to do in Regex, and that is where you recall a pattern within itself. So it can solve problems like checking if all of your brackets on a text string open and close properly, or for things like palindromes. So let's try and explain this and break it down as simply as we can. So if we wanted to pull out a opening bracket, we could do it like that. And then some stuff, that might be a dot star, and then a closing bracket, that's the pattern we would get. So we could say REGEXTRACT from this, there's our pattern. And this is in greedy mode, so it's going to try and always find where this dot star is. It's going to keep going and capture all of the closing brackets until it finds the last one. We could put a question mark there, and that's called a lazy quantifier, so it will stop at the first closing bracket it finds. That was mentioned in the Quantifiers video. But this is not accounting for where brackets are unbalanced. So if I unbalance these brackets, it still pulls it out, and these brackets are now unbalanced. So ideally we would like a pattern that checks that, and that's where recursion comes into it. But before we can explain recursion, we need to understand subroutines. And subroutines are simply recalling a part of your pattern. So if you remember before, we had something like the item is on the shelf, for example. And we have a repeated word here, it appears twice. So we spoke about this before by saying let's have a word boundary, and then a word, and then another word boundary. And if we put that in brackets, it's a capture group. So we can recall what was found in the capture group. So if we say then we have a space, and then \1 recalls our capture group. So REGEXTRACT from this text, this, we will get the repeated words out. And let's just show all matches. So we only have the. If we had shelf twice, then that would also come out because it's a repeated word. So these capture groups are matching exactly what was found by the pattern. But you can just recall the pattern by opening brackets and doing (1). So rather than capture group 1, just redo the pattern from group 1. And now you'll see we just simply get out every set of 2 words. And this is called a subroutine. And we can recall specific subroutines like 1, 2, and so on that match our capture groups. Or we could say R, which is the subroutine of the entire pattern, or O is equivalent, so RO is the whole pattern again. Or a named group would be called with question mark, ampersand, and then the name of your group. So that syntax is here. With these subroutines, it allows us to actually put an entire pattern within itself, and that's where recursion comes into it. So let's redo this brackets example and make a pattern that ensures the brackets balance. So first of all, I'm going to turn on free spacing mode, which is question mark X, just so we can put some spaces in to lay this pattern out nicely. And our pattern is going to be an opening bracket, some stuff, and then a closing bracket. So let's start with that as our kind of skeleton wrapper. Now, what's going to be inside this set of brackets? Well, we want a block of text that does not include any brackets. So let's put that in. To do not, we can do the square brackets. We can say square brackets, not with a caret, and then opening or closing bracket. So hopefully that makes sense. That's saying take an opening and closing set of brackets and then stuff in the middle that does not include any brackets. And we don't need to escape these brackets with a backslash, because when we're inside square brackets, most special characters lose their meaning. That was all in the brackets video. So now let's see what we get out, and we should just get the most inner portion of stuff out. And I forgot that we need to add a quantifier to this stuff to say 0 or more. So stuff inside any number of them, and there we go. So we get A plus B. So now let's think about how we could pull out the next layer of closing brackets. Well, we could use an OR statement to say we want something that is self-contained in brackets, or something else that's self-contained in brackets. So we know how to do self-contained in brackets now. It's this whole pattern that we've just written here. So let's copy that. And let's say we want something that's in brackets with no brackets inside, or another self-contained kind of bracket pattern. So I'm just going to close that up a little bit. And whenever we have an OR statement, we need to put it in its own brackets like that, and we can say 1 or more. So now we get the next layer of brackets out. And that's going to look quite confusing at the moment, so let's just slowly try and break it down. We want an opening bracket, and then any number of things that is either not brackets or something that is self-contained in brackets with no brackets inside. So confusing, but hopefully that makes sense. Now, instead of doing this OR operator with the pattern again, we can just use our subroutine to say question mark R, so run the whole pattern. Let's put a bracket on to close out or statement. So that now pulls out every set of balanced brackets. So if we unbalance the brackets here, if we take the bracket off the end, you'll see it closes it down. If we do that, it only gives us the balanced part of the equation. Confusing, but look for distinct stuff in brackets or the pattern again. Let's just try and explain it with two sets of brackets, I guess. So regex pattern's going to move along, backslash bracket, yes, that's the first thing in our string. Then it's going to look for some stuff that doesn't have any brackets, so it will, if I actually, let's put that string there. So yes, and then it will look for stuff that is not brackets, so it will keep going up to the next opening bracket and go, okay, we have failed our pattern. So let's move into the OR operator, which is the pattern again. And that pattern will look for anything that is not brackets, so yes, or something that is self-contained in brackets, and that is. So it then passes, and it keeps working itself outwards like that, no matter how many layers you have. So quite confusing, but hopefully I've explained it well enough to understand. Now let's look at another example, which is palindromes. So palindrome is something that's spelled the same forward as backwards. So our normal pattern for just 3 word characters might be something like that. But we want the first one to be a capture group, so let's wrap it in brackets, and then that one be recalled on the end. The things on the ends are exactly the same, but the word in the middle can be anything. So we pull out the palindrome. Now let's do a madam, so a 5-letter one. So here we just get the middle part, that's correct. But to do a second layer, we can do \w in another capture group, and then we can have \2, \1, like that. So now 2 capture groups that are 2 letters of anything, a middle letter, and then we recall capture group 2, so we're working our way back out, and then capture group 1. And a 7-letter palindrome would be another group with a \3, and then another group with a \4, and so on and so on. So we want to build a pattern that kind of recursively does this. So let's build our recursion. Again, free spacing mode to make this easier to read. So palindrome is always going to have word boundary, and then we're going to make a group here, just so that we can recall it in the recursion. And we have 2 options. We're either at the middle letter, so \w is acceptable, or, so let's do a pipe, we're looking for a palindrome pattern. And a palindrome pattern is \w. Then we want a single word character, or another palindrome kind of wrapped, so we can do !1 here. It's recalling our pattern again. And then we want \2, so capture group 2. And let's close our OR statement and add another word boundary. So let's just add some more spacing, like so. And there you go, that is our recursive pattern for a palindrome. So now any length palindrome should work. Madam, I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but let's do a 7-letter one, and we get it. If we break that, then it's not a palindrome anymore. So let's try and explain how this is working for the 3-letter one. First we look for a word boundary, and we find it before the word, and then we look for a word character, so we find W, and then because we have completed this OR statement, we then step out and look for this word boundary. And that fails because we don't have word boundary W word boundary. So because it fails, we step back into the OR statement to check the other side of it. And then we're looking for this. We have a word boundary, and then we're looking for a word character, which is W. And then we're looking for something in our entire pattern again. It almost starts again and looks for \w or this pattern again. And that \w finds the O. So that middle bit is passed. And then it looks for capture group 2, which was the W we found, and then it steps out and looks for the word boundary. So this is a bit messy here with my drawing, but hopefully it's making sense. With a second layer, it's a bit harder to explain, but word boundary, yes, looking for a word character, which is M, stepping out, fails, so it goes to the other side, looks for a word character, M, then capture group 1, A, and then a word character that's from capture group 2 is M, so we're M, A, M, and it's failed. But it doesn't step out of this whole pattern, because you have to remember the !1 is the pattern again, like the OR side. So it layers inside itself and gets to the D. Then it works its way back out, and capture group 2 is the A, so it finds ADA. And then when it works itself out another layer, capture group 2 is actually the M, so it works its way out and then finds madam and completes. That is confusing as hell, but hopefully I explained it somewhat simply. The other thing we can do here is label these. So because this is a capture group in between these word boundaries, we can name it. So to name something, we do question mark, open brackets, and let's call it pal for palindrome. Now our whole pattern has a name. So instead of question mark 1, we can recall it by name by doing question mark, ampersand, pal. And there you go, it still works, and it's named, and this is for where you have multiple kind of inceptions going on and you want to label them to not get confused. I think that syntax looks a bit more confusing to me, but that's because we only have one name. So that's it for this video. I've updated the cheat sheet in the shared drive, which is linked in the description. And this is kind of the end of the course other than mop-up bits. So there's a few pieces of syntax that didn't really fit into any of the topics. So I'm going to do one wrap-up video to explain those and go through a bunch of examples of using regex in Excel esports or in the real world to show you some of the places where it's more efficient. So hopefully I will see you there.